last year, we all had different aspirations and goals for 2020. However, some of them have possibly come to a screeching halt on account of various impediments. What did you hope to achieve this year that hasn't exactly panned out? Back in 2008, I had an internship where one of my roles included delivering letters to various offices within the CBD. One of these deliveries turned out to be unusual. The elevator opened into a reception area that was massive. To the left was a grand, sophisticated reception desk, solid hardwood, glass top, logo in silver at the front, which was manned by not one, but two receptionists. To the right were a few leather couches, which were flanked by a glass coffee table, on which were neatly arranged magazines and the day's dailies. A lone client, tailored tweed jacket, crisp white shirt, impeccable tan shoes, was seated on one of the couches, leisurely flipping through one of the magazines, while occasionally fiddling with the sunglasses which were patched on top of his forehead. This was certainly not the kind of office I was used to seeing in my industry in that decade. In the seconds it took one of the receptionists to stamp one of my copies of the letter I was delivering, I eyeballed the large, lifelike canvas prints and paintings which graced the walls, and made a mental note to drop off my CV the following day. As I spun and walked out, all the while reassessing the impressive design of the office, I crashed into the glass door of the reception. "My goodness," one of the receptionists exclaimed. "Are you okay?" the other asked, making as if to race in my direction. The client, he looked up in bored irritation at the senseless interruption. "I'm fine," I responded with as much strength as I could muster, given the ringing in my ear and the pounding in my head. Naomi, Eric, and Alan can confirm that that is French for "I'm in pain, but I'll get used to it." Thankfully, that glass door hadn't shattered. My ego, on the other hand, I just had to make a beeline for the elevator. Have you ever waited for an elevator, but it decides to slow down, say hello to each and every floor before it makes its way to yours? When it finally arrived, I dove in and frantically pressed the close button, since by this time the initial concern by the receptionist had turned into stifled laughs. I recall this incident when I recently came across the writings of Ryan Holiday. Ryan is the writer of the book, The Obstacle is the Way, in which he is of the opinion that obstacles are to be embraced, since there are actually opportunities in which we can test ourselves, get to learn new things, and ultimately to triumph. He postulates that overcoming obstacles is a discipline of 3 steps. Number 1, perception. Number 2, action. And number 3, the will. Where perception is our attitude or approach to the obstacles that we come across. And for me, humiliation aside, in that particular instance, experiencing the office at that point in time gave me a lasting impression on the kind of auspicious environment I wish my clients to walk into. With regard to action, this is the energy and creativity with which we actively break down the obstacles in our path. Since an obstacle can actually become a spanner with which we can fiddle around with an engine, switch up a plug, or drain the oil to enable us to get to our destination. I eventually went back to that office with an internship application and CV in hand, and use that particular incident to try to jog their memory. Do you recall sometime last month when somebody smashed into the reception door? Please stop laughing for a second. Do you? I effectively turned that opportunity into something to have them remember me as they were considering the application. Finally, the cultivation and maintenance of an inner will allows us to handle defeat and difficulty. Fortunately, the person in charge of talent attraction, acquisition, and disposition in that office wasn't particularly excited about retaining talent that just crashed into doors unprovoked. I say fortunately because I energetically pursued and eventually ended up with a different sequential set of opportunities, which have led me to where I am now. Where exactly is this? That's a tale for another evening. In the meantime, consider giving those 3 steps in handling obstacles a shot. Perception. Give a nonchalant shrug to the obstacles in your path that come across this year. Action. Craft the tools which you need to tackle the obstacles or create alternative routes. The will. Keep at whatever goal you wish to achieve with the resilience of 300 Spartans in the face of a mad army. Obstacle, perception, action, and will. An easy way to remember this would be to use the acronym PAW, PAW. In the words of Elon Musk, when something is important enough, you do it, even if the odds are not in your favor. Mr. Toastmaster.
I was really intrigued by your title, PAW. I expected an animal theme. Wrong. It was a speech on how to overcome obstacles. You clearly presented a speech using the 3-point message with humor, use of metaphors, which were also humorous, such as a lift stopping at every floor to have a conversation before coming to your floor. It was, I find, very well presented speech. It shows that you had had a good mentor. You use the word of the day, which shows a good command of the English language. My points where you could present even a better speech. Your opening was weak. I find that a mentor should organize your speech or suggest that for a speech which is between 5 and 7 minutes long, you should have a powerful opening which really attracts the attention of your audience. And keep that attention, which you did, for the next 5 to 7 minutes. You want to make an impact, and that's something you did, but you could have really kept their attention by having a better opening. Only half of your upper body was showing. Next time, make sure that more of your body is seen. Just stand about a foot further back so that we could see some of your hand gestures, because you wanted to make an impact here and there. Now, your conclusion too could have been more powerful, except that you did bring us the thought back to your beginning. But to get back to my opening, it showed a good, powerful speaker, which is what you are, a potential, very powerful speaker. And I suggest that the next speech should take these points into consideration, and I will send you my written speech. Mr. Toastmaster.